We are taught to believe that our history books are neutral logs of human progress. We assume that if something important happened, it was written down, preserved, and taught to us in school. That is a comforting lie. The reality is that mainstream academia acts as a strict gatekeeper, filtering out archaeological discoveries and texts that do not fit the linear timeline. When an artifact is found that contradicts the established narrative, it is not celebrated. It is ignored, hidden, or labeled as a hoax. This is not accidental. It is a systematic process of censorship where ancient manuscripts containing disruptive knowledge are classified as forbidden or mythological. What books changed how we view history, but were rejected by academia? Why did these ancient texts, once revered as sacred truth, become so dangerous that mainstream institutions spent centuries trying to erase them from existence? We are going to look at the forbidden books that threaten to overturn the orthodox timeline of human history. These are books that were not just lost to time, they were actively pushed into the shadows, because their contents could destroy the very foundations of what we are told to believe about our past. Let us begin with the Book of Enoch. Long before it was cast out, this ancient text was widely read and accepted by early communities. It was treated with the same reverence as the other sacred writings of the prophets. But then, a sudden and aggressive shift occurred. Early religious authorities decided that the text was too dangerous. They excluded it from the official canon. They declared it heretical. Possession of it became a crime, punishable by severe penalties. For centuries, the text was lost to the Western world. It survived only in the most remote corners of the earth, preserved by isolated communities who refused to let it die. They kept the pages safe, copying them by hand, generation after generation, hidden from the eyes of the inquisitors who sought to burn every copy. Then came a moment of revelation in the middle of the 20th century. In the barren cliffs overlooking the Dead Sea, ancient scrolls were discovered hidden inside clay jars within dark caves. Among these documents, researchers found multiple copies of the Book of Enoch. This discovery proved that the text was not some later fabrication. It was considered highly sacred and historical during Antiquity, read by the very people who lived during the times of the ancient prophets. The discovery sent shockwaves through the academic world, but the gatekeepers quickly moved to isolate the text, labeling it as mere apocalyptic fantasy rather than historical record. They wanted to ensure that the public viewed it as a collection of wild allegories, rather than a document containing historical truths. Why did the early authorities fear this book so much? The answer lies in its detailed account of the pre-flood world. Enoch does not describe a primitive society of hunter-gatherers. It describes the Nephilim, the giant offspring of fallen angels who ruled the earth with absolute brutality. These were not mythical creatures. The text presents them as physical, historical rulers who dominated humanity. Even more disruptive is the description of giants. The Book of Enoch is an ancient text containing forbidden accounts of Atlantis, the Nephilim, and giants. The text describes a world of massive structures and deep spiritual corruption that was ultimately wiped out by a global catastrophe. Mainstream academia rejects the Book of Enoch because its validation of a catastrophic global deluge and a highly advanced pre-flood era completely disrupts the slow evolution narrative. If Enoch is right, our ancestors were not primitive cavemen slowly learning to farm. They were the survivors of a global ruin, carrying the memory of a lost age. The rejection of the Book of Enoch is just one chapter in a much larger campaign of silence. This brings us to the lost books of Antiquity. Researchers believe these lost volumes hold the direct keys to solving humanity's greatest mysteries. We often think of the past as a puzzle with only a few missing pieces. In reality, we are missing the entire picture. The destruction of the great libraries of the ancient world erased millions of manuscripts detailing prehistoric events. Imagine the nights those libraries burned. The air is thick with the smell of burning papyrus and parchment. Hundreds of thousands of scrolls, representing the collective memory of humanity, turned to ash in hours. Among these lost works were the writings of ancient historians who documented the reigns of kings, stretching back tens of thousands of years, long before the accepted date of the creation of the world. Mainstream scholars insist these lost volumes only contained primitive myths, but the fragments that survive describe advanced astronomical calculations and architectural techniques that we are only now beginning to understand. The loss of these libraries was not a tragedy of war. It was a deliberate erasure of human memory. This category of lost books from antiquity exists, and researchers believe they hold the direct solution to solving humanity's greatest ancient mysteries. Imagine having the exact blueprints of the megalithic structures that dot our planet. Imagine reading the direct testimonies of travelers who visited lands that have since sunk beneath the oceans. These books existed. They were referenced by other ancient writers whose works did survive. Yet, when modern researchers attempt to use these references to reconstruct history, they are met with a wall of academic silence. The gatekeepers claim that because the physical books no longer exist, we cannot trust the references to them. This is a convenient way to maintain the status quo. By dismissing the lost books as irrelevant, academia can continue to teach a simplified, linear version of history that ignores the deep complexity of our past. The suppression did not end in antiquity. Today, modern academic institutions continue to gatekeep the remaining fragments of these lost books. They seek to maintain the status quo at all costs. If an independent researcher attempts to reconstruct history using these fragments, they do not receive a fair hearing. Instead, they face professional ruin and character assassination. Their funding is cut. Their academic credentials are questioned. They are labeled as pseudoscientists. This creates a dangerous situation. We are forced to rely on a highly curated, state-sanctioned version of history that ignores the direct testimonies of our ancestors. We are taught that ancient peoples were simple, superstitious, and prone to exaggeration. But there is a growing realization among independent researchers that what we call mythology was actually recorded history written by eyewitnesses. When our ancestors wrote about giants, global floods, and lost civilizations, they were not writing science fiction. They were writing down what they saw. Now, let us explore the prehistoric books that were systematically banned and suppressed specifically because of the revelations they contained. Throughout history, emperors, kings, and religious authorities have ordered the public burning of ancient chronicles. In ancient empires, rulers ordered the burning of all historical books that did not conform to their own version of history. In medieval Europe, authorities hunted down texts that contradicted the biblical timeline. The content of these suppressed books is terrifying to those in power. They describe cycles of advanced human civilizations, rising and falling over vast periods of time. They describe how humanity has reached high levels of advancement, only to be wiped out by cosmic impacts, solar flares, or tectonic shifts. These prehistoric books have been systematically banned and suppressed throughout history, specifically because of the revelations they contain. These revelations challenge the very foundation of modern industrial and religious institutions. These institutions rely on a short, linear view of human history. They want us to believe that we are the pinnacle of human achievement, that progress is a straight line, and that they are the only ones who can guide us forward. Why is the linear timeline so fiercely protected? Because the existence of prehistoric books challenges the model of gradual human evolution and the slow rise of civilization. If humans were highly advanced in the deep past, the entire foundation of modern historical science crumbles. The institutional fear of having to rewrite archaeology, anthropology, and geology textbooks is immense. It would mean admitting that the experts have been wrong for generations. Therefore, scientific bodies coordinate efforts to classify any mention of pre-Ice Age civilization as pseudoscience. They control the peer-reviewed journals. They control university funding. They control the museum exhibits. By doing this, they keep humanity blind to the cyclical nature of global cataclysms. If we do not know that past civilizations were wiped out by natural cycles, we will not prepare for the next one. We remain compliant, focused on short-term political and economic goals, unaware of the fragile nature of our existence. Let us turn to another major historical controversy: the authorship of the first 5 books of the Bible, traditionally known as the Pentateuch or the Torah, and attributed to Moses. For generations, mainstream academic consensus has held that Moses could not have written these texts. The academic argument was simple: writing did not exist in the region during that era. Scholars claimed that the alphabet was developed much later, and therefore, the Pentateuch must be a later fabrication written by scribes long after the events supposedly occurred. By dismissing Moses as the author, mainstream scholars stripped the text of its historical and archaeological authority. They turned it from an eyewitness account into a political myth. The societal impact of this was profound. It delegitimized one of the foundational texts of Western civilization, suggesting that the laws, the history, and the moral framework of the West were built on a literary invention. But then the narrative shattered. Archaeologists have uncovered physical evidence supporting the historical claim that Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible. They discovered ancient inscriptions carved into the rock walls of desert mines. When linguists analyzed them, they realized they were looking at an early phonetic alphabet, a form of early writing dating back to the exact era of the Exodus. This physical evidence directly contradicted decades of academic dogma. It proved that a writing system capable of producing the Pentateuch existed in the region at the right time and was used by Semitic people. The academic response was not one of excitement. Instead, there was intense resistance to accepting these findings. Mainstream scholars tried to downplay the discovery, claiming it was too primitive to write complex laws. But the physical evidence remained. The historical accuracy of the biblical narrative had physical, archaeological backing, showing that the traditional account of Moses writing these books was grounded in historical reality. This brings us to the rarest and most forbidden books in the world, hidden away in restricted archives. These are not conspiracy theories. These are physical places. They contain miles of shelving, underground vaults, and millions of documents. The security measures are extreme. Access is restricted to a select group of scholars who must request specific documents in advance. There is no public catalog. You cannot browse the shelves. You cannot search a digital database. Why do these specific volumes remain restricted? The rarest and most forbidden books in the world remain restricted or hidden due to the mysterious and disruptive knowledge they are said to contain. Researchers believe they contain highly disruptive knowledge regarding human origins, lost sciences, and ancient contact. Modern governments and religious institutions are complicit in keeping these archives closed. They know that if the contents of these vaults were made public, the current power structures of the world would face a massive crisis of authority. What exactly is hidden within these forbidden books? Independent researchers who have studied fragments and leaked documents suggest they contain records of the pre-Ice Age world. They contain advanced mechanical designs, descriptions of energy sources, and detailed records of ancient astronomical events. The release of these texts would dismantle the authority of major religious institutions and the scientific establishment. It would prove that our history is much older, much more complex, and much more mysterious than we have been led to believe. There is an ongoing, quiet battle between those trying to bring these texts to light and the security forces keeping them hidden. The implications are profound. The true history of our species is not lost in the dirt. It is locked away in private vaults, kept from us by those who fear the truth. Let us look closer at the mechanics of this suppression. How does academia manage to keep these books out of the public eye? It starts in the universities. Students are taught to rely only on peer-reviewed sources. But who reviews the peers? The very people who want to protect the established narrative. If a young scholar wants to write a thesis on the Book of Enoch as a historical document, they are told it is career suicide. If an archaeologist wants to excavate a site that might yield evidence of an advanced pre-flood civilization, their permit is denied. The system is designed to replicate itself, producing generations of scholars who believe they know the truth, when in reality, they only know the approved version of the truth. This academic gatekeeping extends to the media. Documentaries and articles that explore these forbidden books are often labeled as sensationalist or unscientific. The experts interviewed on television are almost always those who support the mainstream timeline. They use their authority to dismiss the ancient texts, telling the public that there is nothing to see here. But the public is beginning to see through the facade. The internet has allowed for the dissemination of these forbidden texts, bypassing the traditional gatekeepers. People are reading the Book of Enoch for themselves. They are looking at the physical evidence supporting the authorship of Moses. They are asking why the rarest books in the world are kept under lock and key. Consider the impact of the Book of Enoch on our understanding of human origins. The text describes a time when giants walked the earth, interacting with humans and altering the course of history. If this is a historical account, then our understanding of human evolution is completely wrong. We did not evolve in isolation on a slow, linear path. We coexisted with other hominid species, some of which may have been much larger and more powerful than us. The presence of giants in the ancient record is not unique to the Book of Enoch. It is found in the mythologies of almost every ancient culture. Yet academia refuses to take these accounts seriously, classifying them as mere folklore. The physical evidence, however, suggests otherwise. And what of the lost books of antiquity? The category of lost books from antiquity exists, and researchers believe they hold the direct solution to solving humanity's greatest ancient mysteries. Think about the mystery of the pyramids. We are told they were built by copper chisels and ropes, yet we cannot replicate their construction today. What if the answers were written down in the books that were burned? What if the ancient builders left detailed accounts of their techniques, only for those accounts to be destroyed by rulers who wanted to erase the achievements of their predecessors? The loss of these books has left us in a state of historical amnesia, forced to guess at the achievements of our ancestors. The systematic suppression of prehistoric books is a global phenomenon. It is not limited to one culture or one era. Throughout history, whenever a new power arose, one of its first actions was to control the historical record. They did this by banning and burning the books of the past. They wanted to ensure that their own version of history was the only one that survived. This prehistoric book banning was done specifically because of the revelations they contained. These books revealed that the current rulers were not the first to hold power, and that their civilizations would eventually fall, just as the ones before them had. This is a terrifying revelation for any ruler who wants to believe their empire will last forever. The discovery of physical evidence supporting the claim that Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible is a prime example of how physical archaeology can shatter academic dogma. For years, the academic community was united in its belief that Moses could not have written these texts. They wrote books, gave lectures, and taught generations of students that the traditional account was a myth. But the physical evidence changed everything. It showed that the writing system existed, and that the text could have been written by an eyewitness. This discovery did not come from the academic establishment. It came from archaeologists working in the field, uncovering the truth from the dirt. It is a reminder that physical evidence will always triumph over academic consensus, no matter how fiercely that consensus is defended. The rarest and most forbidden books in the world remain restricted or hidden due to the mysterious and disruptive knowledge they are said to contain. These books are kept in vaults that are inaccessible to the general public. The security is tighter than that of many military installations. Why? Because the knowledge they contain is disruptive. It could change how we view our place in the universe. It could challenge the authority of the institutions that govern our lives. The gatekeepers know that knowledge is power, and by keeping these books hidden, they maintain their power over us. So, what is the verdict on forbidden history? These books changed our view of history by proving that humanity has forgotten more than it currently knows. The systematic rejection of these texts by academia is not a scientific decision. It is a political one, designed to protect established dogmas and maintain control. The forbidden label is applied to any historical record that threatens the current power structures. When we synthesize the evidence, from the Book of Enoch to the physical evidence of early writing, we see a clear pattern. The suppressed texts collectively point to a forgotten, advanced, and cyclical human past. We are not the first advanced civilization to walk this earth, and we will likely not be the last. Now, let us look at the price of this forgotten knowledge. Historical amnesia makes modern civilization fragile. We live in a bubble, believing that our technology makes us invulnerable. But if we do not understand that past civilizations rose to great heights and were wiped out by natural cycles, we will repeat their mistakes. We have outsourced our understanding of truth to centralized, dogmatic institutions. We have allowed them to tell us who we are and where we came from. We must cultivate the intellectual courage to question established narratives and seek out the forbidden pages of our history. We need to stop accepting the easy answers and start looking at the evidence that has been pushed into the shadows. To truly understand who we are and where we are going, we must first uncover the truths we have been forced to forget. If you want to join this search for the truth, subscribe to the channel and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know what you think is hidden in the vaults. Until next time, keep searching.